start on the Inkscape side. I'm going to say Inkscape. I can go down. I happen to have it down in my dock down here. You probably should as well. If you don't, if you're using the Windows machine, you can hit the Start button to do a search. If you're on a Mac, Command Spacebar to search, and we're looking up Inkscape. Should be this little shape here. And from in here, I'm going to create a new file. So I'll say File, New. By default, it's going to open up, and it's going to be a lot bigger than we want it to be. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-D as in dog, Command-Shift-D as in dog if you're on a Mac. And I'm going to make this 4 inches wide, 2 inches tall. Make sure that your format is in inches. And I'll leave that as custom because we're making our own shaping and sizing here. Closed. All right. Now I've got my file roughly started here. I'm going to say File, Save As. I'm going to give this the name. Last name, underscore, first name, underscore, what it is you're making. In my case, I'm doing a Jets magnet. We want to make sure this is saving as a .svg file. And save. All right. Now I need to go ahead and make the outline of my magnet. So I'm going to go into my Inkscape, my Onshape. In here, I've got a sketch that I made. I made a 4-inch by 2-inch sketch, and then I added in an ellipse here in the center. Once I finished that off, I extruded just the center portion. This happens to do a 1-inch extrusion by default. Doesn't have to be that thick, doesn't matter. All we were after is using this to create a drawing file. So I'm going to say, all right, create a drawing. I'm going to use the ANSI A-inch template. Say OK. And when it opens up, it's going to try and import whatever happened to be in my Part Studio first, which is fine. That's what we need. And I'll say Part Studio 1. And now I have to look up here in the left-hand corner. I don't want the front view of this object. I want the top view. And right now, it's set to be half the scale. So we need to set this to 1:1. Scroll up a little bit. There's 1:1. And click. Now it's going to want to add another view on. Just hit the Escape key, and that'll go away. I need to get rid of all of the text on here that's not my shape. So I've got two options. If I click and drag from the left, I'm going to get this blue box, and only things that are entirely inside that box will be selected. Or I can use the yellow box coming from the right, and anything it touches will be selected. Doesn't really matter which way you go as long as you clear off all the stuff we don't need. Delete. All right. My part is now ready to get saved out of here, and we'll move over to Inkscape. So I'm going to say File, right-click on my drawing, and I'm going to export. Again, make sure my file name makes sense. SVG file, and download and store in a new tab. And I'm going to say export. So as it's thinking, eventually there'll be another tab that'll show up down here. And just give that a moment to think. We're going to be opening that file up in our Inkscape. So in Inkscape, we've already set up our right sizing for it. So I'm going to say File, Import. And there's my file right there. I'm going to say Import and Open. Leave the defaults as they are. Click OK. And we've got this object here, but clearly I've got this big white area around. I don't need all of that. I need to get rid of that portion. So I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to ungroup. Now you see I've got a box around here and on the outside. So click and delete you. And control and roll my mouse wheel to zoom. I'm going to move this around. So right now, this is set up and would work just fine for us to do this as an etch, because this is pure black. If we look down here at our colors, or if we look up here at our properties, once I have selected, I go to my layer properties, and my outside stroke, I want to make this red, 255 red. That's going to turn this into a cutting line. And I'm going to change this to millimeters and go 0.065. So right now, if I took this file to the laser, it is going to take and cut out this roughly 2" by 4" ellipses, and I'll have that to work with. What I want to do now is put all the material on the inside that I would want to etch. What shapes do I want to see in here? Maybe you want to put in the Prospect logo. Okay. Well, we're going to import that file. I've got one here that I had downloaded. I'll leave that defaulted as it was. Say OK. Huge. Actually, that's not the file I wanted. What we want to do is get SVG or vector-based images to pull in. So I'm going to my web browser, and I'm going to look up Jets logo vector. There it is. And I'll save that image. Being saved as a PNG. That's not what I want. Is it here? And I'll just download the file then. So I'm getting, it's coming from Wikipedia Commons, SVG file, and I'm going to download it full resolution, and I'm going to put it to my desktop. Make sure you're getting .svg, .ai, or .eps files. They're going to cut best for you. Let's go back to our Inkscape, and now we're going to import that file. There it is. There we go. That's much closer to what I was looking for. If I hold down, and I'm going to scale this a little bit. Okay. And we will take and I'm going to change, leave that green as it is. I'm going to add my text. Now, right now you're seeing this is all outlines. That's not what we want. I want solid, because this red outline is just going to get cut out. So I want this to be a good solid text that I can work with. So as I look through, I can see all of the options on here. And I'm going to find something that's a little bit blocky. Select my text and say, all right, how about you? And if I apply that, it's here, but it's still hollow. I need to go up to my fill and stroke. Solid fill, pure black. Great. But what about the edges? See, you can just barely make out. Look, there's still red on the outside. That is the stroke. We need to take and get rid of that. Bing, gone. Now, it's about the size that we want. And if I grab my selection tool, I can scale this down. And I'm going to make sure that all of my profile, all of my information is the same. I'm going to copy and paste, paste, paste. And I'm going to go in and edit my text. All right, pretty happy with that. Now I can get ready to take this over to the laser. I can say File, Save As, save that to a thumb drive, and I'll be able to take this over to the laser and get it printed over there. Make you another video showing you how to get it off of here onto the laser itself.